Well. Welcome. Welcome to the November 6th, 2022 edition of Speaking of Zane. This is the 212th edition of Speaking of Zane. And let me see, Lori is texting me here. Okay. Got it. All right. Well, let's see who we've got here on board tonight. We got Matt Aaron. Hey, Matt. Thank you for posting those pictures. I'm going to share some of those here in a minute. Matt found some photos from their old unit 369 on their on some sort of anniversary or reunion, their Facebook page or something. Anyway, there was a picture of Zane in there. And it's interesting. I don't know if Matt knows the details of that picture, but I'm going to share it here in a little bit. But good to have you there, Matt. Good to have you there, Ken, down in Central Florida. Colin Krim in Albuquerque. There's my dad, Mac Marine, down in the booming metropolis of Fitzgerald, Georgia. There's my buddy Jimbo Miller over in Omaha, Nebraska. And there's my Aunt Paula down near just north of Tampa-ish. Good to have you in there. And then my buddy Daryl in Florissant, Missouri, a suburb of St. Louis. Good to have you all in there. Lori says she's going to be jumping in here. She's downstairs. We had Everett, our little grandson, here this weekend. I took him to get a haircut and had a big time, and took him for an ice cream. And then we've got our little granddaughter Carson here for a couple of days. She's just down the hallway. They're sleeping away. She is a very good sleeper. She goes to bed pretty much the same time every night and doesn't give any fusses or anything. All right. So Lori is getting squared away from that. All right. Well, what do we got here? I'm going to share. Let me share one of those pics, Matt. And this looks like this was Matt. You can add some commentary in the chat there, but these are pictures of when Matt and Zane and others were there in a joint security station, I think, JSS, they call them, JSS Istiqlal, which was northeast of Baghdad, northeast, I think, of Taji. Matt will help me if I get any of this wrong, but that's where they operated, did their missions out of there. Let me share a couple of see, they keep moving the nerd knobs around on here. There we go. And I have to find. And just like it did last week, it's got me frozen. So let me let that catch up. Before I share. I believe this happened to us last week. When I went to share, kind of bogged down for some reason. Give it a minute. Anyway, this is, here we go. Now it's coming back up. So thanks for bearing with me there. Here we go. So here's some of those pics that Matt stumbled on. Let me move this banner down here. There we go. Yeah, so you can see just some the big concrete block walls they had around the compound there. There's some more. Looks like they did have air conditioning though there. Those must be those Mitsubishi units. There you go, looking out into the yard there. Some office admin going on there, no doubt. Looks like some of Matt, some of your Iraqi colleagues there. And then maybe you can, maybe Matt, you can chime in on what what we're looking at here in this group picture. Would that have been, what size element would that be there, Matt, this group? Is that like a battalion or what? I'm sure Zane's amongst that group there. But here's the next one that has our young man right here, front and center, standing tall, looking good, getting some kind of award. So, Matt, I don't know. Maybe you can say. I mean, I know that he got an Army Achievement Medal while he was over there, Army Commendation Medal, but he also got awarded the combat patch, as well as the combat infantry badge. So I don't know, in this particular photo, I'm not sure what they're getting there, but wow, what a treasure there to see some of that. That would have been 2010, I guess, right, Matt? So anyway, thanks for sharing those, Matt. Appreciate that. All right. Well, let's see. What do we got here? Weight loss update. Well, good news is I haven't gained any, so I'm standing fast at 63, but I got plans to lose much more. So stay tuned. I'm about ready to crank up some of my physical activity. Jackson wants to start playing pickleball, and we have a pickleball court just, half a mile from the house here in the neighborhood. So we might start doing a little pickleball, get some more physical activity in there. Speaking of physical activity, my company sponsors a Veterans Day 5K run in the city of St. Louis, where my company's headquartered. And every year they sponsor this. It's the Veterans Day 5K, and it's in conjunction with the St. Patrick's Center, which has an ongoing effort to house homeless veterans. And so they raise money every year for that, and they've got a really good track record there. Anyway, our company is a sponsor. We're St. Louis based, really good community company. And when COVID started, all these races, all of a sudden people had to figure out how to do it virtual. So they've had a virtual option the last few years, and likewise this year. And so I registered, of course, like many at our company. But the race was yesterday in St. Louis, and we had a lot of people. I don't know how many, 100 or so people from our company go out and run the race, and then some people do it virtually from all over the country, and they've been kind of reporting in on the different places that people did it. And I decided to go to the veteran. I was looking for a local veterans memorial park, and I remembered there's one in the little town of Dallas, Georgia, just about 10 miles away from here. So I just drove over there, and I did the 5K there, and we got a really nice park there, a veterans memorial. It's at the government complex, and they got a nice half-mile track around this park. And it's like you would find at a high school or collegiate track with that sort of bouncy paved track. I don't know what the name of it is, but anyway, it's a half-mile track. So I went out there, and coincidentally, I didn't know about this, but they were having some sort of veteran, they had set up that whole park with vendors and local hometown mom and pop stuff there. Just a nice little kind of a bazaar and it had a Veterans Day spin to it. And I got there too late. When I got there, they were packing up and everybody was leaving. But anyway, I did meet some veterans there while they were packing up. But I got the walk in. I got the 5K walk in. It's about 3 miles, so 6 circuits. And anyway, it was good to do that. I do a 5K every day anyway, so it's no big deal. But it was good to get over there, get a change of scenery. I normally walk in the neighborhood and walk pretty much the same. I have 2 routes that I walk, and I switch them up a little bit. But anyway, that was good to do that yesterday. And that kind of begins the whole month worth of different activities at work, veteran-related activities, including a lunch and learn that we're doing on Friday that I'll be speaking at, and about some of the stuff we do at my Warriors Place. Anywho, so that was pretty cool. What about Hat of the Week? Hat of the Week. Hat of the Week. Hat of the Week usually has something to do with what the heck's going on around here at the wonderful McDonald Estate and Insane Asylum. And I couldn't think of anything, as I often do. Nothing was crystal clear to me that made a connection to one of the 150 hats I've got here, except that my old friend Jerry McLaughlin from Savannah, who was the project manager for the restoration of a B-17 bomber down there at the Mighty 8th Air Force Museum, and I've been involved with it for a dozen years now. And anyway, Jerry's also an author. He's also an Army veteran, but he's also an author. He's written a couple of books, one about his uncle who died on D-Day. He was a navigator on C-47. And he wrote a book about the restoration of the B-17 city of Savannah. And anyway, he messaged me and said, "Hey, Guy, I got a favor. I've been asked to write a biography, and it's the biography of Lieutenant General Buck Schuler." And if Steve Shirley was on tonight, he would know who Buck Schuler is. But Steve couldn't make it tonight. He took his wife to it. Him and his wife, Kathy, went to a show somewhere in town. But anyway, so he's been asked, and Buck Schuler is a retired lieutenant general, and he's a founding member of the museum, the 8th Air Force Museum down there in Pooler, Georgia, near Savannah. And anyway, he wants to put a story in the biography that involves me in a biography about a lieutenant general. He wants to put a story about me, and the story is about when General Schuler and I, this has been a couple of years ago now, maybe 3, got to talking at the museum. I was there to crank up the radio station. We were doing it to celebrate some activity there, and I cranked up our amateur radio station on board the B-17. And, it's an all-day thing. And anyway, the general was there and his wife was there, and we got to chat, and Jerry was there, of course. And, we got to talking about our service, and, it had always bugged me, the name Buck, and I couldn't quite place it. But anyway, it turns out, and we talked this out, and we arrived at the conclusion that we flew together on the Looking Glass mission in the early 90s. And so here we are, almost 40 years later, we're together helping restore a B-17 bomber. It's crazy. So we had a good old time, and I didn't get a chance to pull it up, but I've got a picture with him and everything. But anyway, and Jerry wants to write that into the story. The general is toward the end of his life, and here he is, and 30 plus years later, 2 airmen that flew together on the Looking Glass connect in other circumstances. Anyway, he wants to write that story, so he emailed me and said, "Hey, could I write a little narrative about that and stuff?" So anyway, stay tuned. And when the book is published, I'll let you guys know. I'll be like a sentence inside this book of the biography of an almost 90-year-old lieutenant general. But anyway, that's so. Because of that, this is the hat of the week. That is my B-17 City of Savannah ball cap. That's the volunteer ball cap there. So anyway, that's the hat of the week. Thanks for sticking with me on that story. It's longer to tell than the story itself. But anyway, there you go. All right. Well, what about this week in military history? We had a few items here I found. November the 6th of 1854, John Philip Sousa. John Philip Sousa. What's up, Doc? JT Collier there, my colleague at work and Georgia native, current Nashville resident. Hey, Doc, hope you made it back from Mexico okay. Doc was down there with our company. We sponsored a PGA golf tournament, Worldwide Technology Championship at Mayakoba, which wrapped up today. And it was an all-week festivity there, but wrapped up today. But Doc was down there at least for a little bit, part of it. But good to have you in there, Doc. Okay, so let's see. John Philip Sousa. Yeah, John Philip Sousa, the famed American bandmaster, composer, was born on November 6th, today, in 1854. And let's see, on this date in 1995, how about this for some trivia? I wish Steve Shirley was here tonight. He would know about this. The Air Force launched the most powerful unmanned rocket, Titan IV, with a $1 billion Milstar communication satellite for the Defense Department. So you guys may recognize Daryl Milstar came after you, I believe, but Jimbo and Steve and Amy and all the others certainly know about the Milstar system that we had on board. The Looking Glass. All right, November 10th, 1775. So listen to this, because these people are very proud of this date. November the 10th, 1775. November the 10th, coming up this Thursday. 1775, and the story goes, during the American Revolution, the Continental Congress passes a resolution stating that 2 battalions of Marines be raised for service as landing forces for the recently formed Continental Navy. So the resolution, drafted by future U.S. President John Adams and adopted in Philadelphia, created the Continental Marines and is now observed as the birth date of the United States Marine Corps. Hoorah. All right. I guess they say hoorah. But so happy birthday to all the United States Marines. Big bash going on here in Woodstock, Georgia on Thursday. And that is at Semper Fi Bar and Grill over in Woodstock. Semper Fi Bar and Grill, owned by a couple of Marines. And it's the biggest Marine Corps ball in the Southeast, I believe. But anyway, that's on Thursday. So happy birthday, United States Marines. And okay, these last 3 dates, these are all on November 11th. So these are on the Veterans Day. November 11th, 1918, at the 11th hour, on the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918, the Great War, that was World War I, ends. The 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, 1918. I must admit that World War I was not an era that I studied very much, but I'm intrigued by it now. And I know there's a movie out, but the numbers are astronomical, in the millions of deaths in World War I. It pales World War II. So if you go look up World War I and look at some of the figures, the stats are just amazing. All right, November 11th, 1921. So exactly 3 years after the end of World War I, the Tomb of the Unknown was dedicated at Arlington Cemetery in Virginia. during an Armistice Day ceremony presided over by President William Harding. If you remember last week, it was last week or the week before, one of the items was the selection of the unknown. There's a whole story around that too. The selection of the unknown. It's an incredible story. But then 3 years later, the Tomb of the Unknown is dedicated there, 1921. All right, so sticking with the Veterans Day theme, fast forward to November 11th, 1978. So Veterans Day, which was originally known as Armistice Day, became a national holiday in 1938. It was changed back by Congress in 1978 to November 11th rather than on the fourth Monday of October, which it had been set in, I think, 1968, something like that. Anyway, so on November 11th of 78, Veterans Day became a national holiday, and it's on November 11th. Well, there you go. There you go. So wherever you are, I'm sure there are some Veterans Day activities coming up this week and this weekend, and take part. Take part. All right, let's see. Speaking of veterans, Veteran Cemetery Challenge. I know that Daryl made a visit to Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery where his wife of 50, Daryl, how many years were you guys married? Rests. And Daryl always does a great job of chronicling his visits. I enjoy following his visits there. And same with Jim Miller. Jimbo Miller, he's lost his wife, Deborah, just a couple of weeks after we lost Zane in 2016. And she's buried at St. John Cemetery near Omaha. And Jim made a visit there. And then he made two visits to Omaha National Cemetery. Omaha National is on his route from home to the base. So it's very easy for Jim to stop in and see our old pal, Todd Vanderwerk, and others there at Omaha National Cemetery. Okay, let's see. I think that was it for the cemetery visits. That was 4 visits that we had this week. We're at 711 visits that this relatively small group of patriots have made to 164 different locations over the last few years. Well, I, for one, will never look at a veteran cemetery the same. You know, from the day that I place Zane there, it will never, be the same. Much more reverence, obviously, much more reverence I have for any place where a veteran rests. But yeah, thank you guys for doing that along with us. You guys have done a phenomenal job. And, we started doing these thanking veterans a few years ago, and just kind of out of the blue. And we just decided to make it not a competition, but make it a little bit of a challenge. And you guys certainly have stepped up over the last few years. But for instance, this week, Jimbo thanked 2 airmen. Lori and her friends were at lunch this past week, as they usually do. I think they thanked 4. Well, it was 3 or 4, Lori said. 3 or 4 Georgia State Patrol officers. So I'm sure they appreciated that. And then I had some thank yous this week. So I thanked, there's a guy new to our company. He's only been here a matter of months. And I got the opportunity to meet him because we're going to be doing a little work together. And turns out he's a West Point grad and about my age, and lives in Colorado. Anyway, had a great conversation with him. it was really weird. It was really weird because he didn't know me, doesn't know my story. He's new to our company. First time we'd met, and we're having a video call, and we're chatting and stuff. And he sees my military stuff, and he had already connected with me on LinkedIn, and you see each other's profile there. So he kind of knew already that I was an Air Force guy. But we got to talking about that, obviously, and we shared information back and forth, and he noticed the gold stars back, or the silver, the blue stars back here. When you have somebody serving in your family, that's a blue star. And there was a window of time we had Zane and Hannah both serving at the same time, so we were a 2 blue star family. Anyway, so he asked about that, and I said, yeah, I've had we had 5 kids, and this, that, and the other, and I said two Army, 1 Air Force, and then FBI. And anyway, he was intrigued by all that, and he kept asking more. What did your daughter do? And what about your Army son? What about? And I was trying. I don't know. I caught myself. I don't know if I was trying to avoid the conversation or if I just didn't want to make him feel uncomfortable when he found out. I mean, but the way that he was probing and prodding, he just had genuine interest. And anyway, I finally had to tell him about Zane, and I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. I don't always offer it up. I don't. It's so situational when you share that or you don't share it. And I don't know. It was just a weird. It was a weird thing when I was confronted by someone, and then I had to say something. And I knew that was going to then dominate the conversation, at least for a little bit. And I didn't want that. I guess I didn't want that I was calling him about. Anyway, it's a weird thing. I don't know if it'll always be like that, but when people find that out, it changes the way they look at you. It changes. I don't know. It's really weird. Anyway, I don't know what I'm saying, but anyway, so I met him. His name is Jim. Great guy. Then I met a Coast Guard veteran. Those are rare. I met a Coast Guard veteran at work as well. Another guy I'm doing a little work with. And he's in Dallas, I believe. And then while I was doing the race yesterday at the Veterans Memorial Park in Dallas, I met two Army vets and an Air Force vet there. Now, one of the Army vets told me a dirty joke, and I can't repeat it. But, it had to do with oatmeal cookies or something. But anyway, I cannot tell that story on the air. But anyway, it's good. It's always good to bump into folks there. But I think this week, if I go back and add, that was me, that was Lori and her friends, and I cannot forget Aunt Paula, because Aunt Paula went to some I don't know what event she was at, but she was at an event that had a lot of law enforcement officers, and she got to personally thank, I think, about 31. She said 31. I don't know if it was at Pasco County, but the sheriff and 30 deputies. So 31 and 5 veterans. So wow, quite a score. 36 for Aunt Paula. Good job. So if I add all that up, we had 46 thank yous for the week. 46, which takes our count to 1,782. We're coming up on 2,000, Lori. You better get that. Let's see. We're gonna have to take down our. See the sign up there that Lori had made, the 1,000 thank yous on the American flag. We might have to figure out how to change that 1 to a 2 here before too long, because we're at 1,782 thank yous. So sometime, what do we got? A couple hundred to go, maybe middle of next year, but next summer, I guess. or something like that. We'll get to the 2,000 mark. So thank you guys for doing that. It's not like we're hunting veterans. It's just if we stumble on one, we just acknowledge it. That's the main thing. Sometimes it evolves into a conversation. Sometimes even a dirty joke like yesterday, or it evolves, or it's just a mutual handshake or a tip of the hat or a grunt. If you're a Marine, maybe you each other, and that's how Marines recognize one another, I think. Right, Dad? And anyway, we're not hunting vets, but we are acknowledging vets. And you don't even always have to say thank you. It's just an acknowledgement of their service, and it's kind of fun. Okay, well, let's see. Let's move on here. Organizations. So My Warriors Place, you can still win a yacht. Go to mywarriorsplace.org. You can buy a raffle ticket to win a boat. Do that. And then if you know someone who might be interested in attending the next Forever a Warrior retreat at My Warriors Place in January, you can go apply. You can go apply to be selected for that. Or if you know someone that you think might benefit from that, go to mywarriorsplace.org and find out all the information there. And that'll be interesting. I'm going to try to find out. I'm going to try to find out from Kelly if there's a way Lori and I can help during that thing in any way. We'll find out if there's a way that we can help, and we'll run down there and do that. Okay, hey, here's something else coming up pretty quick. Can you believe this? So we're in November, Wreaths Across America. So every one of you is within driving distance of a cemetery that's going to be holding Wreaths Across America activities, placing wreaths at the headstones of our fallen. Lori and I have been doing it for several years now, and it's that time. I shared in the Speaking of Zane Facebook group, and I will do again, the Wreaths Across America page. Plus, I've got a custom Wreaths Across America, Speaking of Zane, Wreaths Across America page, but it's not active at the moment. I'm trying to figure out my password there. But anyway, stay tuned for that. And anybody local here can register on that. So they can, you can sponsor wreaths, or you can join our group and come out to Georgia National with us on December the 17th. December the 17th at 11 a.m. That's when it's going to be at Georgia National. December 17th, 11 a.m. Now, I also happen to know that at Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery in St. Louis, it's also on December 17th at 11 a.m. local, because I've got a group of people. I'm coordinating the effort of my company and getting a group of people to go out there and sponsoring wreaths and all of that. And I've got a custom page built for that as well. So, Daryl, if you end up going out there on December 17th, you're likely to see some of my colleagues out there this year. So stay tuned for that. And that'll be here before you know it, like 6 weeks from now, something like that. Okay, well, let's see. I was going to ask Matt Aaron. Matt, do you have any update on your colleague Jason Gibbs, Sergeant First Class Gibbs? How is he doing? If you remember, gosh, it's been has it been a year yet where he was stricken with Guillain-Barré syndrome? Same thing that Steve Shirley, our very own Steve Shirley, had a few years ago. Any updates on that, Matt, if you're still with us? See how he's doing. Okay, well, let's see. I feel like I had something from last week that I didn't share. That I regretted, but I cannot think of it now. But anyway. Okay, cool, Daryl. Daryl says you'll be there. Okay, well, I'll make sure you're able to identify some of my colleagues there. And then, okay, Matt, yeah, get an update. Tell him that we're thinking about him. And I just love to know how he's doing. I know that people recover very nicely from that affliction, but it takes a lot of therapy. It takes a lot of therapy. And you can ask Steve about that. But he has done amazingly. Steve has. So I hope that's the case for your friend Jason as well. Okay, well, let's see. Don't forget what Gary Sinise said. Somebody asked me for this. I think it was my friend Amanda Duggar. She was trying to remember this quote, and so I can send it to her. But service is a great healer. If you have a broken heart, help somebody else. Your whole life will be different. That was Gary Sinise. Gary Sinise, Lieutenant Dan, said that. But all right. Well, hey, don't forget if you come across a veteran in your, especially this week, Veterans Day is Friday, November the 11th. If you come across a veteran this week, give them an extra special thank you for their service. And if you come across a Marine this week, they will be very preoccupied with the day of their birth this week, as they often are. And so tell a Marine thank you, happy birthday. If you know one, I happen to know one very well. But the Marines are very proud of their heritage, and their day is on Thursday. So happy birthday, United States Marine Corps. If you see a Marine this week, tell them happy birthday. All right. Well, remember, we don't know them all, but we owe them all. But we will see you guys Sunday, and we'll report on the various activities that we've been involved in for Veterans Day. And I'll look forward to it already. We'll look forward to seeing you guys again next Sunday. Now, yeah, I think we'll be here. Lori and I are planning a trip, but it's so uncertain at the moment that I'm not really sure. But anyway, we'll have Speaking of Zane regardless, and we'll look forward to it next week. So everybody have a great week. Make it count, and we'll look forward to seeing you next Sunday for Speaking of Zane. Don't forget Zane, because I'm not going to. All right. See you guys.